Hey, welcome to Oz Talk.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, Tori. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited because today we've got a very special guest joining us. It is the man without whom modern-day Oz fans would have no lives. He is the father of Wicked. It is author Gregory Maguire. He's going to be joining us in just a second. And I'm thrilled to chat with him about the reveal of his new covers for the Wicked Years series. But first, why don't we talk about, take like a retrospective look at his previous and original covers, shall we?
Oh, yes, please.
Yes, the book that started it all, right?
That's the one that started it for me. This was my middle school copy, and it's still the one I reread today on the regular.
Did you love it? Do you have it signed?
I do not, because I have never had the pleasure thus far of meeting the one and only man behind the curtain.
I knew that, but maybe you could have bought one on eBay or something. And we should check up and see how much those are going for. I'm sure.
I'm going to hold out for the real deal.
Highly collectible, yes. So obviously, the beginning of Wicked, the life and times of the Wicked Witch of the West. When you would open the cover, you'd see this beautiful artwork of Elphaba. And then, of course, the sequel, Son of a Witch, A Lion Among Men, Out of Oz, The Wicked Years, this 4-book series. And I love the artwork. I love these covers. I love the color. I love that they kept with the circle within the, like revealing the greater illustration.
Yes. And I don't know if you remember the feeling you felt when you first saw these in the bookstore, but I will never forget I saw Wicked from across the Barnes and Noble and made a beeline. And I had no idea what it was about, but I was like, Mother, I must purchase this. I had a lot of questions for her after that. But
I'm sure. Yes. Oz for adults. Of course, we saw then the show tie-in. So on the left here, we're looking at the Broadway version, the UK or West End version. On the right there, these covers are beautiful.
Yeah, and it was so exciting again to walk in and be like, because that came several years later and it was still so relevant. And then hearing the music, seeing this tie-in, it was so exciting.
Mm-hmm. And the series continued with new covers to match the different versions. And then they would come out in box sets, which you have to collect. So it's like, how many versions of the same book? I mean, it started with The Wizard of Oz. How many versions of that book would I have? And now Wicked, how many versions do I have in all the different books? The 25th anniversary special edition with green lettering here. And then there's also this really special collector's edition. Do you have this one?
I don't yet.
Yeah. That one, this one is
gorgeous. Bucket list.
Right. I love the depiction here of the wizard. It looks very much like stage Joel Grey meets Frank Morgan kind of meshed together. If Joel Grey and Frank Morgan had a son who played the wizard, this picture. And then, oh, wait, the reveal. Sorry, I moved forward too fast. So why don't we pop this out? Those are the new covers we're going to be talking about. So without further ado, let's bring him on in. This is, of course, Gregory Maguire. He is the best-selling author of Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. And it can now be said that he is single-handedly responsible not only for bringing new generations to The Wizard of Oz, but also spawning a new literary genre where we revisit classics from the villain's perspective. I'm so honored to have met him several times, have worked with him in the past at the virtual OzCon, and have grown to call him a friend. I'm very humbled by that. And Tori, I am thrilled to be introducing you today to none other than author Gregory Maguire. Hey, Gregory.
Hi, both of you. How are you both?
Welcome
Doing
to
great.
Oz Talk.
Thank you so much for being here. It means so much. It's so great to see you. Any chance we get to catch up, I'm always so thrilled.
It's always a thrill to me too, and I do my share of eavesdropping online, and I pay attention to what you two are talking about. Sometimes you're whispering like one to another,
Oh
the
yeah,
way you do on theater
I
posters.
get the reference. Yeah.
And I love to see it, and I thank you for your close intellectual and also rabid interest, your pathological interest in
Some may say.
yes,
Accurate.
it's consoling and encouraging to those of us who think sometimes a step outside the land in which we find ourselves on a day-to-day basis can be both challenging but also nourishing and restorative as we step back home to do the good fight.
It's so, so true. Well, I'm just thrilled that you're here to join us for everyone on Oz Talk to watch. And for Tori, you get to meet Gregory for the first time.
Yes, and I have to tell you, and this may sound hyperbolic, but bear with me. So there are two authors that I hold as the two authors that made me love reading. One is L. Frank Baum, and the other is truly you.
Oh,
And I'm
my
not just flattering you, but I stayed up once I got Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West under the covers, reading that book, couldn't put it down. So thank you, because you gave me my love of reading.
Well, it's all I'm doing is passing on the favor from all the authors who did the very same for me when I was a kid, middle school, early middle school, actually early grade school. And one of the reasons that I have chosen to spend most of my career revisiting the works of authors that I found when I was young is that the work of those authors, I thought, was downright therapeutic for me. Without the handhold, without the lifeline, without the best friend who wouldn't talk back and wouldn't abandon you, I don't know where I'd be. I think I might be in some asylum someplace that has a lockdown feature, both on the cabinet where they keep the Cheetos, but also on the front door. I think that might be where I'd be. And so I'm very grateful for the therapeutic qualities of the work of the imagination. And when I began to think about what I was going to do with my life, I thought I could go into public policy, I could go into education, I could go into medicine or law. And yet I think art in itself is all of those things. It is the instruction of the moral imagination. And that's just as important as a good diet and as good laws and as a good ethical foundation. It's just as important, I think.
Amen. Amen. I agree.
So that's how I chose my life course.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And Tori, why don't you start us off with the first question?
Yeah, so there's something I've always wanted to ask you, because whether on purpose or by accident, you have changed the Oz canon. I know that The Wizard of Oz and Wicked are two separate canons, but now whenever people think of The Wizard of Oz, there are a lot of people who watch it through the lens of what we know from Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. So my question for you is, do you now watch The Wizard of Oz differently now that you've created this whole other world?
Well, to be perfectly frank, I have not seen the film of The Wizard of Oz since the night before Wicked opened on Broadway 21 years ago. And the reason, there's no reason why I haven't seen it, but the reason that I saw it then is that my boyfriend, now husband, and co-father of our 3 children, was raised in Europe. And I was dragging him to the opening of a Broadway musical that he didn't necessarily want to go to. But I said, look, you can't go to this without experiencing The Wizard of Oz. He was in his early 40s, I think it was, or no, maybe even late 40s when Wicked opened, almost 50, and he'd never seen the 1939 film. So we sat down and watched it 2 nights before we came to New York to see Kristen Chenoweth and Dean Menzel blow the house down. And he got it. I can't say he's become a devotee of musical comedy or of fantasy or of Oz, but at least he understood what it was about. So there are those people, Tori, to go back to, there are those people who are going to come to the architecture of Oz through Wicked first, and then have to do their own job of backing and filling and doing the historical reading and seeing where it comes from and how essentially wrong it really is. Let's call a spade a spade. I did play with some tropes.
Well, I guess, building off of that, I guess a follow-up would be, now that we live in a world where Marvel has hammered into our brains what the concept of a metaverse is.
Yes, right.
Do you look at, Wicked and the Wizard of Oz as parallel but different? Is Elphaba, how do you view them?
Well, here I'm going to give you an analogy, Ryan. When I was little, I read a novel by Eleanor Cameron that was set in San Francisco. And the author kept talking about the Victorian architecture of San Francisco. Now, I grew up in upstate New York, and in upstate New York, Victorian architecture has steeply pitched roofs, sometimes going up 2 stories high. There's the first floor, second floor, and then a roof that's so steeply pitched there are actually 2 attics between the top and the bottom. So I had this image in my head of a San Francisco with its hills and its cable cars and the Golden Gate Bridge filled with these steep houses from Albany and from New England and New York State, sort of Addams Family almost houses, if you will. Then I got there, and lo and behold, the local vernacular of Victorian architecture in San Francisco is flat roofed. They don't have snow. They don't need steep pitched roofs. Yes, there were gewgaws. Yes, there were nods and becks and wreathed smiles to the Victorian influence, but it wasn't the same as in my head. So what did that do? The reality did not eclipse the San Francisco that was in my head from my childhood reading. They exist separately and simultaneously, and I can visit either one depending on what I want. So that's what I think the analogy between Wicked, my version of Oz, which if I'd been a different kind of person, I might have called it Dark Oz. But it isn't Dark Oz, really. It's just other Oz. It's just another point of view.
It's just looking at things another way. Right? At the end of the show, it's just looking at things another way.
It is looking at things another way. And my deep tissue belief in the value of other points of view, especially points of view that don't agree with my own, and I really take those seriously. And so I can tolerate more than one point of view in my head at the same time. I apparently am one of the few Americans who can. But I can. I hope that is one of my skills.
Gregory, I promised we wouldn't keep you too long, so I want to get to your new covers. Let's take a look at your new covers, and if you wouldn't mind talking us through them, because I love how bold and graphic these are. What do you think of them?
I love them. I often have helped art direct my covers. In this instance, I did not choose the artist or the conceit, if you will, on how they were to be presented, but I was allowed to see them in development and to weigh in on certain aspects of them that I liked or didn't like or wanted tweaking. For instance, the original letters looked a little bit more Germanic than these do. They looked a little bit more New York Times, headline title font than they do. And I was afraid they looked too German and too fascist. And I didn't want that overtone to run through all 4 books. If you switch to the next one, to Son of a Witch, that one particularly, since there is a rising eagle that is part of the iconography of the Third Reich, when Son of a Witch looked even more Teutonic in its lettering, I found that to be unsettling. So I got them to tweak a number of things to tone it down and to make it seem more like itself and less like it was borrowing from a headline of a German newspaper in 1941. And I'm grateful for that. One of the things that I didn't notice at first, let's go back to the first one, if you can go back. Each of them take 2 main colors and do a beautiful blurring or bleeding from one to another. Like in this one, the witch's hat, which is in gold and yellow, is both a witch's hat, but it's also a kind of spotlight on the Emerald City. It's almost as if the Emerald City is on the stage and this is the center of our attention. And in each of the covers, I think you can read something like that, where the image actually can imply two things at once. Here we are with Son of a Witch, and the character Lear is at the bottom in the tail feathers, and the clouds of the bird that's rising, and that's from a scene in Son of a Witch, the conference of the birds, suggest that the bird is flying through clouds and despite clouds. And I like that contrapuntal notion. A Lion Among Men, the third one, this I had some struggle interpreting at first, and then they tweaked it. Now I get it better. I love how the flames of a world at war, the flames that are engulfing that house or castle, or perhaps it's the convent, also become the shape of his mane. Mm-hmm. It's like the gold flames and the blue flames. There are two things burning, and part of what's burning, I think, in this one is the lion's moral development and the development of his own courage being forged in a crucible of a terrible time, a crucible of trauma and panic and war. And then the last one, Out of Oz, I looked at this and I didn't get it at first, besides the beautiful contrast of the purple and the green, which I just love. The mountains over which a dragon is flying actually also serve as if it's either the edge of Rain's hair or a kind of headscarf that she's wearing as she makes her own perilous journey along, there it is, the yellow brick road. So the iconography is crammed and stuffed, but also very subtle, and you almost don't notice it at first because of the electrifying contrast between these day-glow luminescent pairs of colors, gold and orange, purple and green, yellow and red and green. I think they're very stylish, and they suggest, because of that that compositional contrast in the luminescences, to me they suggest a world making itself through observing of contrasts. And so I'm really delighted with him. You know, you pop a gummy and you start one of these books.
Oh boy, you are such an intelligent writer that I don't know if I could accept that task or complete it.
Honestly, hearing you explain these covers the way that you do, first of all, you're just as clever in the way you speak as you are in your writing, which is so delightful. But just hearing you explain these, they make so much more sense to me. Thank you so much for walking through those with us.
Oh, of course, my pleasure. And I can't wait till they come out. I don't know what the pub date is, but it's probably 3 or 4 months from now, I'm guessing.
August 13th. They are available for pre-order now.
Well, thank you.
Yes, August 13th, according to your publisher. So
good.
Yes, that would be very good. Tori, do you have any questions about these covers?
I'm so glad that they're going to be widely available so soon, and people will have these in hand as they're walking into the Wicked film, which is in November. And we would be remiss not to ask what you thought about the most recent trailer, wouldn't we?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have to begin every day. I begin every day with my prayers and with my morning ablutions, and then I watch the trailer again just to set myself up for the day. It's so startling. I think I might have written to Ryan this in a text or a tweet or whatever it is that I do, that I was so happy, especially with the last 30 seconds of the trailer. You get what you think is going to be the last note as you hear the kind of half strangulated yodel of of Elphaba,
The battle cry.
Yeah, she's falling down a well. And then the camera pulls back, and there's like a PS, and you see the camera track across the battlements of the castle, and the flying monkeys move, and we get to a quieter coda where Elphaba is summoning the broom, and the broom is responding to her either subconscious or to the needs of her spirit. We don't really know how to interpret that yet. But as Glinda there says, "Don't be frightened," the John Chu's choice to snip in a scene of Elphaba being bullied as a child and how that made her look, and a scene of the witch burning in effigy. Oh my gosh. And then the scene of the two young women holding hands, and Elphaba taking courage from that to go forward, I think reminds viewers, or taunts and teases viewers, to suggest, okay, we've come around to thinking of Wicked as, kind of a Mean Girls story. It's like Legally Blonde for witches. But in fact, this isn't just about bullying. This story is about the systematic marginalization of populations in danger. And when you get to that last bit, I don't know about you, but a kind of knot rises in my stomach. You think, she's not just trying to hide for herself. She is up against everything, and so is everybody else. That is the story of 2024, and that is the year in which Wicked, the film, is being brought out. And I am so happy that what I consider to be the moral seriousness of the story is not just being retained, but is being enhanced by the filmmaker's choices. I'm thrilled about that. Yeah. Sad to think that it's so pertinent, but thrilled that if it should be pertinent, that it will be there for us to draw.
Yes, it's sad. Yeah, sad that the themes you wrote about still resonate so brightly today, but also speaks to the mass appeal and the timelessness of the story that you crafted as well, and the world that you built, and the characters of Elphaba and Glinda, the wizard, Morrible, and all of it. So I'm so glad that you're enjoying that. It must be very surreal. I promised we wouldn't keep you long. I know you have a lunch date. Yeah. We've got a ton more questions. So will you come back and join us again sometime?
Of course, but I will say one thing before I run down to my lunch. I saw yesterday in the news that comes over my feed that the Lego Corporation has announced Lego toys. There, you've got it. Look at you. You were going to bring it on later, and I've presumped you. I'm sorry.
No, hey, we'd rather you announce it than us. Come on.
But I just can't wait to have my little 1.5-inch Madame Morrible. I think she's going to be my totem. I'm going to carry her around in my pocket wherever I go.
I'm hoping for a Dr. Dillerman Lego. Would be really great.
Dr. Dillerman or a Fiero. My own pocket-sized Fiero. I mean, he was my heartthrob from the beginning. Yeah. Next time we have a for me now.
Gregory, next time we have a private combo, we're going to have to have a tete-a-tete about Jonathan Bailey and Fiero, okay?
Yeah, that'll have to be. Then we can bring Tori in, but we have to,
we'll just sit and listen.
We have to be respectful. He's a sweetheart. They all are.
Yes,
I've been texting with Cynthia since the drop of the trailer, and she's over the moon about the response.
Yes, I mean, well, what she has done with that character already in just the seconds we've seen is so next level. And absolutely. I mean, we're the target audience here, but it's perfection.
I'd sell an Oscar in her future, and I think it will be wicked to watch her get it.
I think so too. I'm going to have my little Madame Morrible in my pocket.
I wanted to send a message to everyone in the Critics' Choice Association, for which I vote, and be like, let's just make history and give every award to one film this upcoming award season. Wicked, but I think I might get kicked out. So, but that's all I'm voting for, and everybody knows it.
Well, thank you both for inviting me into your virtual salon. I really had a good time, and I have been really enjoying watching you respond to the Passion Project trailer and to the first trailer, and I'm sure there will be one or two more before November comes, and I'll be rapt to see your take on those too.
Thank you so much. And we hope that there's more also to look forward to in the Maguire stratosphere and Ozoverse. And so please come back and join us again sometime, and have a great day. Thank you so much.
I'd be delighted to. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Tori.
I'm fine.
Right?
Full disclosure, before you guys came on, we were preparing, and I said to Ryan, "Ooh, I feel nervous," just as Gregory Maguire signed on to join us, and he heard me. So thank you.
Like, don't be nervous. Yeah.
Infinite gratitude to him for being so kind and lovely, because my nerves immediately disappeared.
It's true. Well, it reminds me of the time that I sang For Good with Kristen Chenoweth, and at the end, I was like, "Oh my God, I can die now." And she's like, "Don't die." So it's like they're always telling us the right thing to do. Our favorite.
Don't.
Yes, don't die, don't be nervous, all good. So that was wonderful. Again, wonderful. Let's just one more time mention that these beautiful covers, the latest editions of Wicked, we have them. We're the first, I guess, to get them, right?
Thank you so much to HarperCollins Publishing for sending along these beautiful copies for us to share with you guys. You guys can pre-order. Was it August 13th?
They're coming on, right, August 13th. People will have them in hand, but they are available for pre-order now. I've seen them on Target. They're probably on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, probably everywhere. But yeah, they are, they're even more beautiful in person. Just the graphics are so beautiful. I could frame these. If we want, buy two, right? Rip them off, frame them. Or no, you don't really want to
buy a second for reading.
Shadow box them, maybe. I don't want to rip a book cover off. I take that back. But yeah, they're really, really gorgeous. And so let's celebrate that. Again, for the collectors like us, never enough, you never get enough. So every time they want to reinvent, adapt, recreate, we're here for it. Speaking
of never enough, did you see the giant list of tie-ins that we're going to get that was published yesterday?
Okay, I come prepared. So first of all, we talked about the Lego. I know you also mentioned that the soundtrack is available, wickedthesoundtrack.com. You can pre-save that on where you subscribe to music. And yes, this is insanity. We have to give a shout out to our Israeli friend Yuval, who put this list together, which we're going to go over. But first, let's talk about this, because the president of Universal Products and Experiences, Vince Classius, said it has been so fun to develop and expand the beloved story of Wicked and bring these incredible characters and worlds to life through magical products and immersive retail experiences. Our global merchandise program across retail and theme parks reflects the film's empowering themes and bold iconography, paving the way for even more excitement in 2025 with Wicked Part 2. Yeah, so which means if we're getting this for just part 1, let's talk through this. Okay, what do we have here? We have stationary collectibles. It's Bitty Boomers, Build-A-Bear, Chasing Fireflies, Disguise, Fisher-Price, Funko, Hallmark, HarperCollins, Hasbro, Hunter Leisure, Insight Editions, Jakks Pacific, Jazzwares, Kids Designs, the Noble Collection. That is going to be actual replica props.
Yeah, the Noble Collection. And, some really big fan favorites here. We have Her Universe, Loungefly, Cakeworthy, yes. Mattel. These are big, everyday collectors love these things. These are accessible things for everyone. Look at this, the retailers that are be carrying these things.
Cambridge Satchel, Swarovski. Oh my God, if they do some
that top tier there, that's all going to be very pricey, very limited edition, edition stuff. But there's something for everyone on this list. There's for every category of collector, because not everybody has the budget. I'm certainly not going to be able to buy every single thing that gets released, and for the people who don't have the budget to get those top tier stuff, there's going to be stuff for you too, for us too. I can include myself in that category. There's going to be stuff for us, and then we're going to get, there's cosmetics lines here, there's Lush listed here, they're in every mall in America, so there's going to be something for everyone here. And when he said theme parks, because we have all the way until 2025 still for even more stuff to drop. So I have a feeling post film 1, as long as it does well, which let's face it, this is going to be $1 billion franchise plus. once that hits and once that money starts rolling in, they're going to announce a Universal expansion. That's my prediction.
I believe it. I mean, it's kind of your prediction, your manifestation, our manifestation. It has to happen.
And yes, there's a comment here. REM Beauty will be for part 2. I would not be surprised if we get a separate announcement from REM Beauty, which is Ariana Grande's beauty company, closer to the release of part 1. I think it would be a mistake not to do separate lines for part 1 and part 2, because part 2, the underscore of that is for good. So there's going to be different lines for the different films. Right. So all of these brands that you see here, I would guarantee there's going to be a part 1 launch and a part 2 launch for each of these.
Definitely. It makes so much sense. And it's all leading up to the film coming out this Thanksgiving. And like Gregory's watching the trailer every morning, I'm watching it like every 10 minutes. So not that it's a competition.
No, of course not. How many times have you seen Wicked the Musical?
Oh my God, 46. I know. And then
who's counting?
I know, right? Who's counting? And I don't know that I'll get to see it on Broadway before, but it is coming here the fall of 2025. And I'm already participating in the promotion for it locally because I'm very active. For those of you who don't know, I'm a contributor on the NBC TV affiliate here, and work in the local theater scene and with the Marcus Performing Arts Center, who brings in their national tours. And when Wicked's coming, I've partnered with them to do an Oz historian talk and participate with that show. So I'm really excited. And I know you've been on the Broadway stage already with our friend Tiffany, Follow the Yellow Brick Girl.
That was really a once in a lifetime, pinch me, I'm dreaming, can this be happening moment. And it was, I mean, Wicked the Musical has buried itself deep in it's left a handprint on all of our hearts. Gregory Maguire is the reason for all of this. And to be able to speak to him today was truly, truly incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to join me, that we were able to do this together, as we look forward to many exciting things coming up. Next week, we're going to be back with another episode of Oz Talk and some more fun things to go over and talk about. And yes, thank you so much, everybody, for watching us. Please like, please share, please follow both of us. Tori has thousands of subscribers. I've got like 600 something. So subscribe to my channel too, if you don't mind. Help us out. And if you haven't subscribed to Tori, subscribe to her as well. Follow her on TikTok at the Oz Vlog. And we're both, you've got our socials right here. We're both on Instagram that way as well. She has her merch to your Etsy shop. You've got some. I have that too. I'm going to have that with me for next week. That'll be good. We can be twinning that way. But thanks everybody for watching. Yeah, and leave comments if there's something that you'd like us to discuss or anyone you'd like us to talk to in upcoming episodes of Oz Talk. Thanks so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.